In this demo, what I'm going to show is basic geoforms with texture. So again, these are some of the simple forms that we are going to be doing. At the same time, we are going to also implement the same methods of texture, of basically using glass, chrome, wood, matte, and also the weathering element. So these are things that I feel that are very essential for part of the sketching, so that we explore some of the geoforms, because in our design universe, a lot of the elements that come from on the scale of design, the visual language actually forms from all these geoforms, especially the square or rectangle, which is the golden mean or the golden rectangle, which all geoforms come from the cone, the sphere, the cylinder, comes from the origins of that golden rectangle or the box. So these are forms that are crucial for any student to uh, understand the basics, right? That's why it's fundamental to learn perspective, to learn how to sketch, dynamic sketching, to take a class similar to that, or to take a class like sketching for design, dynamic sketching, or just a good solid sketching values. These things are crucial for students to really enhance their skill level and also understand the process and the right techniques to be successful as a visual communicator. So as for this one, it is glass. Glass is transparent, and I'm hitting all the corners of the edges so that I can see the areas of the edges will support the surface, and the surface will support the shape. So with this is a rectangle, so hopefully this would be viewed as at the end a full glass shape oriented form. So as I'm hinting some of the stuff, the corners and the edges, those are the things that students need to be discerning as they put in detail. As also, I'm going to also start putting a little bit of white gouache to create hints of reflection, to create hints of uh, bright light, literally bouncing off the glass, right? So these are elements that students should consider, uh, that it will be part of the sketching values, sketching information, sketching technique. So as I'm finished with some of the overall white gouache additional elements, what I'll do is to bring a little bit of more enhancements of the shapes, which are very crucial to successes of the overall sketch. This is going to help sell my cube as a glass see-through element, which can be helpful to anyone that's viewing it or looking into the values of a quick sketch of the glass cube. So now I'm heading towards my next cube, which would be the chrome. And what I'm going to also try to suggest are the same elements as what we've gone through. Again, chrome is basically has a lot of reflection, right? It has a lot of it absorbs the surrounding. Basically, when I say absorb, means when you look at the surfaces, you are going to see reflective areas of the environment that's around the cube or the rectangle. Now in this one, I'm going to generalize it where basically it's showing itself as effectively as what some of these chrome elements may suggest, right? Obviously, in my setting of this cube, it is generic, so I'm just gonna basically go ahead and bring in some reflective elements, some of the core shapes that might come in around my environment to the surfaces of this chrome cube, which is essential. Hinting some of the dark areas. Basically, when you look at a reflective chrome, I would recommend you get students to look at perhaps like a chrome bumper on older cars that they usually will have chrome bumpers that are reflective. That's one of the best ways to study how chrome works, because chrome has a lot of elements similar to glass. So at the end of the day, these are the things that can be very, very helpful for students to go out and perhaps go to the car show or go to a car museum and also observe while you're sketching these man-made forms. Observe how the chrome works. And that's very essential because you're building your visual language, you're building your visual vocabulary at the same time. Some of you may be interested in using certain pens or recommendations of what pens to use. These are some of the things that I use with the Tombow brand brush pens and also the Micron pens. A lot of the suggestions that are recommended are usually, the pens of choice, right? I usually like students to kind of adhere to some of the pens that they feel comfortable with as they're sketching, because it is essential for, there's a multiple variety of pens that are offered, and basically, at the end of the day, as a person, you pretty much will get used to a certain pen and develop your certain techniques. So these things are really helpful that I like students to kind of explore the things that they feel that are comfortable and also effective for their drawing methods. Now I'm about to apply some reflection, which is I use the gouache to bring in some of the reflective areas. So these are the things that can help my deliverable of this sketch value effective. As I'm using the gouache, I'm using a flat brush to kind of to make sure that I've covered a lot of my surfaces. So these are things that can be very helpful also. And now what I'm heading to do would be the wood texture. So on all these superficial elements, they are pretty much close to, similar. At the same time, can be also very effective to use as your drawing techniques, drawing styles. So very, very important to adhere to some of these basic principles and basic things to consider while sketching, or on the way, trying to basically get your sketches to communicate and to speak up for themselves with these elements of technique, abilities to show and to have some of these things going effectively for your usage to communicate clearly. with wood, basically wood grain is important. So the grain, there's technique, obviously there's hundreds of types of wood, you know. So with this, just trying to show students how the effects of this, some of these, the swirls, right, the grain, because